Diana has made a massive push to the top of the jungle meta. Yunara is a 45% win rate ADC, while LeBlanc and Ahri are back in phenomenal spots for mid lane. So we've got all this and more to cover in today's video as we provide you guys with an update to the solo queue tier list for every single role in 25.19. But first, some hard truths. YouTube is built for the algorithm, not your LP. That means clickbait titles, junk food topics, and stretching simple tips for watch time. We're part of that system too, just like every guide and YouTube channel. And because every video is randomly surfaced to you as a singular guide and topic, advice often contradicts what you just watched. No context, no plan, more confusion. On our website at SkillCapped, however, we're free from all of that, allowing us to focus on what actually matters. We teach in the most efficient way to really rank you up fast, with the same premium editing and challenger level coaches you see here, just without the algorithm's hoops. Start with our essentials courses for every role, updated for season 15. These are meticulously planned step-by-step guides that build your fundamentals in the right order. Once you've finished essentials, move into the advanced courses. Deep dive wave control, advanced mechanics, the proven bronze to diamond climb paths, and literal world record jungle clears for each jungler, all structured so lessons stack instead of contradict. While you follow these learning paths, we also release our popular challenger walkthroughs, new sessions every week showing how to abuse the best meta champs for your elo, supported with an AMA section below each video which we always respond to. We back it with a climb 5 divisions improvement guarantee while you're actively using SkillCapped, plus a 30-day refund change of mind policy on top of that. So there's literally no risk. Stop trying to mix and match random guides and start following a structured path, far away from all the noise. Click the limited time discount link below to join SkillCapped today. So up in the top lane for 25.19, Jax was the only champion who ended up getting changed, and he's back in a really strong spot. Jax is just shy of an OP tier slot right now, as we've got him in the S tier as one of the better fighters. Garen is being moved up into OP for mid patch as he's been performing really well after his 25.18 buff. Initially, it wasn't looking like the buff was that impactful, but now that the dust has settled, it's led to a 1.5% jump in Garen's win rate, which is very significant. The fact that Garen now likes to build Spear of Shojin as his third purchase instead of Dead Man's Plate makes that EAD ratio buff even more impactful. As a matter of fact, Garen EAD ratio has now been buffed twice this season, so if you're someone who hasn't been running Spear of Shojin, then definitely look to give it a go. So other than that, nothing more to update for top lane this patch, as it was a pretty light one for the role. Jungle saw many more significant changes than top lane for 25.19, and Diana was one of the biggest winners. It's always difficult to judge exactly how impactful bonus damage to monster buffs will turn out, and the Diana buff has definitely exceeded our initial expectation. The reason we weren't expecting for the buff to land that impactful was because Diana was already above a 50% win rate prior to the buff, so there's no way Riot would make her OP, right? Wrong, as the buff has provided Diana with over a 1.5% win rate boost, and she's now contesting Volibear for the #1 jungler in the game as we are moving her up into the OP tier. One prediction we were spot on about going into the patch was the fact that Pantheon would turn into one of the weakest junglers. Losing so much damage to his clear is just so bad for Pantheon because he needs to be impactful during the early game to be effective, and losing that clear speed just means less opportunities to be in the right place at the right time. Pantheon's win rate has plummeted over 3% as he's now sitting down around a 46% win rate, so there's really no reason to be playing him in ranked from now on. So for the jungle tier list in 25.19, we finally have a jungler who's contesting Volibear as Diana slots into OP due to her buff. The jungle meta is pretty diverse right now, as the buffs Riot issued to Diana, Lilia, and Brand for this patch have provided more variety when it comes to AP jungle options. We predicted that the Lee Sin adjustments wouldn't end up swaying his overall power one way or the other, and it's played out like that so far. Lee gained damage on Q in the early game, but lost damage later while his armor scaling was reduced. However, his win rate has stayed identical to where it was prior to these changes. Jax has seen a big surge in popularity as a top laner for 25.19, but he's still very underrated in the jungle. If picked in the correct spots against junglers who rely on auto-attacking to win out in skirmishes, Jax is going to feast, so he's a really good champ to consider, especially if you're looking for something new to try. So Riot literally admitted in the patch notes that they buffed LeBlanc because they want to see her at Worlds, so honestly, respect for the transparency. LeBlanc was already a really good solo queue pick prior to the buffs she received in 25.19, so if you're a LeBlanc player, you get to enjoy her in a really powerful spot right now. And if you are someone who hates playing against LeBlanc, then she should probably be your perma-ban. Due to LeBlanc having a higher skill floor than many mids, if her win rate is up around 50%, then it actually means she's really powerful. LeBlanc should never really have a win rate higher than 51%, but with Riot wanting her played at Worlds, she is in that state right now. LeBlanc is definitely a bit more of a high elo skewed champion, but she's still up above a 50% win rate in silver and gold, which is something we very rarely see for the pick. There's one matchup in specific that you do want to try and avoid when picking LeBlanc, and it's Vex. LeBlanc players only win 45% of the time against Vex, as Vex passive and Fear do a really good job at limiting LeBlanc's threat. So if you've ever thought about trying out LeBlanc, or are a LeBlanc player who hasn't been playing her lately, now is the time to start spamming her, as we're moving LeBlanc into OP tier for mid-patch. So the mid lane meta is in a bit of a unique spot right now, as we've got Diana, Morgana, and LeBlanc up in the OP tier. That's such a strange 3-champion combo to be the strongest in the game, but this is where we're at for 25.19. If you guys are looking to pick up Morgana mid right now, then definitely check out our guide we made for her that was uploaded last week. We cover a bunch of secret strategies, like her W break points for one-shotting the ranged minions, her ability to solo void grubs, and the best build that most players aren't using. So there's lots of vital info to absorb before you take the champ into ranked. All of our pre-patch predictions as to how Ahri, Brand, Mel, and Syndra would land power-wise have played out so far. Ahri is back to being a great S tier pickup thanks to her buff. Brand is a really underrated mage pickup. Mel is still on the weaker side of things, and Syndra didn't end up seeing her power shift due to the adjustments she received. So for ADC in 25.19, there are two clear-cut winners on top of the meta, being Jinx and Ashe. As expected, Jinx is shot up to being the best solo queue ADC as a result of her buffs, so take advantage of her before the inevitable nerfs come through. Remember, Riot literally stated in the patch notes that the only reason they buffed Jinx was so that she had a chance of being a higher priority pick at Worlds. So there's a 100% chance she'll be nerfed in the future. With Jinx and Ashe just a cut above everyone else right now, Vayne is being pushed down into S tier, and then the Sivir nerf ended up hurting her slightly more than anticipated, so she's being dropped into A. Sivir nerf ended up shaving 1.5% win rate off the champ, so she's by no means in a terrible spot right now, but no longer that top tier pick she had been for multiple patches. Honestly, a bit of a shakeup in the meta is nice to have though, as Sivir was a super long-standing OP tier pick. Even though Mel isn't all that great for mid lane after her buff, she's excelling a ton down in the bot lane. Mage's bot have been so good for such a long time, and Mel is yet another who's being added to the plethora of strong mages in the S tier. Yunara is unfortunately pretty dead right now after her recent nerfs, as she's sitting at around a 45% win rate. In other news, Kalista is now on the verge of dropping below a 1% play rate for solo queue, which is pretty unprecedented. Since ADC as a class has way fewer champions than other roles, it's very rare for a specific champion's play rate to fall under 2%, so for Kalista to be at the level she's at right now is insane. So the big changes to support in 25.19 were the nerfs to Redemption and Unsealed Spellbook, so let's give you guys an update on that. Redemption was being rushed on many different supports throughout 25.18, so Riot went ahead and nerfed the heal. So far though, it's not looking like this nerf has been nearly enough to reduce the power of the item. We are still seeing Redemption leading the way as the highest win rate rush and continuing to outperform Locket, so no reason to drop Redemption Rush for this patch, as it's still a great item to rush. As for Unsealed Spellbook, it's a bit of a different story. Prior to the Spellbook nerfs, it was just narrowly outperforming alternative options on melee supports, but now with the nerfs coming through, we've seen a shift. Rakan is just better off taking Guardian now. Alistair is winning more with either Phase Rush or Aftershock, Rel is performing so much better with Aftershock, and Braum is back to winning more with Guardian. So for the support tier list in 25.19, it's going to be Melio and Nami up in the OP tier. Melio is the best enchanter that you can play for solo queue right now, especially with Jinx and Ashe being the two most powerful ADCs in the game, as Melio has absurd stat lines when paired up with both. With the Seraphine buffs going through for this patch, she's gained a little over 1% win rate and is now just a smidge below an S tier ranking. Brand was buffed and he saw around a 0.5% boost to his win rate, so pretty minimal overall and no further movement for Brand on the tier list. Even though Mel did get buffed for this patch, the changes have not led to a significant rise in power for her as a support. Mel was at a 45% win rate in 25.18, and with the buff going through, she's only jumped up 1%, so still in a very weak spot relative to all other supports. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's going to be all for our 25.19 mid-patch tier list update. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.